All right. Welcome back, my regular viewers, listeners, and watchers. And of course, if you happen to be here for the very first time, welcome. Before I go any further, my name is Rahul George, India's premier eye hypnosis coach and your personal guide. So, today is a beautiful reminder, actually, that especially if you're somebody who is a digital coach and a healer like me, um, you like me will know that failure is something that is um, is something that we experience, whether you experience it once a day, whether you experience it once a week, whether you experience it once a year, or maybe if you like me have been failing consistently and failing constantly. I say this because one, it is one of the most annoying, it is one of the most frustrating, it is one of the most irritating um, experiences to have, especially if you are somebody that has very high expectations about what you do, about how people should be perceiving you, and also about how you would like your reality to be. Now, I say this with a smile also because over the years, and I'm talking now at this point, at this juncture, easily about 2 decades, literally over the last 20 years, there are multiple times and there are multiple occasions when I have failed. And I say this not as a way to mock you, not as a way to taunt or tease you, but just to remind you that it is actually important to fail. It is important to fail a lot because every time that you fail, every time that you don't get what you want, think of it maybe like the marshmallow experiment. For those of you who are familiar, you know what I'm talking about. But in a very, very simple way, it's like saying two words: delayed gratification, which means that if you are willing to not get what you want exactly like how you want it now, but uh, eventually, sooner or later, but eventually, you do get more of what you want, then this this journey that we've decided to go on, which is to say whether you're doing this kind of work as a digital coach and healer, whether you're doing it full time, whether you're doing it once in a while, whether you're doing it on the weekends, or whether you're doing it day in and day out. It doesn't really matter beyond a point how many times you succeed and how many times you fail, simply because when you are able to zoom out, and for those of you who are regulars, meaning that you've been consuming a lot and watching a lot of these videos that I create, you will know that over the last couple of weeks, I've been talking about the concept of zooming out, which simply means that you make it a habit from time to time to zoom out from whatever is happening in the moment, whether you're succeeding or whether you're failing. Because when you think about doing what you're doing over the course of, let's say, the next 5 years or 10 years or 20 years, even maybe even more, this moment will very, very typically start to feel insignificant. So maybe if you're somebody that's running a community, I myself am in the process of building a community. And there are a lot of times when I myself wonder, am I not uh, getting through to them clearly enough? Or am I not giving them what they really want? Because the intent is there, the ability is there, the desire is there to help them, to serve them, to help them, make their lives better. But a lot of times, the offer, which means the way things are being said, may not necessarily, it may not necessarily meet the mark. That means you may say, hey, I'm here and I will gladly help you or work with you or meet you live. And they may or may not show up. And something I've come to recognize and something I've come to learn is that most often it is not about me, it is about them and what they are going through, what they are dealing with, what they are growing through, right? So the more I'm able to remind myself, the more I'm also able to get curious and say, okay, if they didn't show up, um, what could it be? Sometimes I may be able to guess the answer, but a lot of times I have no idea why they didn't. So this is where these experiments start to become fun, because if your intention is to build a community, if your intention um, is to reach out to people and to be of value to them, then one part is to be curious and to stay curious, and the other part is to be in an allowing space, which means that there are a lot of times where they may not have time or mind space for you because they're dealing with enough and more in their own lives. So, as I was telling one of my students, in fact, earlier today, that if the less you make it about you, the less it becomes about you, and that gives you more space to make it about them, meaning whatever is happening in their lives is about them. And the more you're able to do that, uh, the more open you will be in your life. And I'm not saying this like I'm some sage or a sadhu sitting on some mountaintop somewhere, um, disconnected from reality. Like I said, I definitely can say this today after 20 years of many experiments, many different ways to reach out and connect with people, that as long as you know, just like as long as I know why I'm doing this, as long as I believe that this is for the greater good, and that every time when I do something, it is teaching me, and that as long as I'm willing to learn, sooner or later, whether it is your own, so there's this very famous blog post, I think is what it is, called "A Thousand True Fans." So definitely, Google it, check it out. I may even link it in the show notes here. But the point being that the more you stay curious, and the more you treat it as you're not trying to reach out to many people and have like millions of followers. If that happens along the way, great. But as long as you have, to use Kevin Kelly's words, as long as you have 1,000 true fans, meaning people who really stick by you, then you're pretty much set as an artist. Now, of course, these are figures that were mentioned or talked about in an American context, which means if you have 1,000 true fans who pay you $100 a year, that's $100,000, and so you can live a pretty comfortable life and continue to be the artist or the creator, someone who is creating art, someone who is making a difference in the world, and it is your fans who will support you. But the principle behind it, the philosophy behind it is what I'm talking about. Meaning that as long as you're showing up every day with the intention of making a difference to people who matter to you. So for me, for example, for those of you who've been, on this journey for a while now, I am always talking to people who are like me, people who are digital coaches and people who are healers. Why am I talking to these people? Because you are me. It's just that I've been doing this maybe, by and large, for a lot longer than most of you. So there are things that I have learned, there are things that I have experienced from my own uh, and in my own personal life, which have taught me to stay the course, which have taught me to be committed to doing something that is making a difference to more people. It's like saying if I can serve more than one person, that one person can grow into a community, that one person can grow into a tribe, that one person can grow into a multitude. Uh, it's like I am, I have taken myself and my ego, more importantly, out of the equation of, oh, only, I have only so many people, whether that's lot or less. Like yesterday, you'll remember, some of you, for those of you who watched, if you haven't, definitely go check out yesterday's podcast, the solo pod, which is the eye hypnosis coach speaks, and this also is the eye hypnosis coach speaks. But for those of you who were listening yesterday, and if you happen to have already listened to it, you know what I'm talking about. Yesterday in the pod, I talked about the joy of having reached, of having uh, got a 200 subscribers on my YouTube channel. In fact, today when I checked, it was 201. Now, again, these are all statistics, and unless you're playing some game out there with like you're having a competition, otherwise these are just, I see these as just statistics that in some sense are reflective of, okay, more people have seen this. And remember, again, and this is something I've noticed even with some of the biggest podcasters who are out there, US based podcasters, people who have pretty substantial businesses, and podcasting is one of the channels or one of the businesses that they have, not the only. Even when they talk about their statistics, they have on average somewhere between 60 and 40%, meaning that it could be 60% or 40% of people who are their subscribers, and the balance are people who are watching them, but they are not subscribing. So these numbers honestly are just numbers, and as long as you're not getting too fixated or frustrated, that is one thing to take out of the equation. The second thing, of course, is that um, when you're creating a community, sometimes it can do really well, which means maybe you're in the right space, maybe you have the right reasons, and so when you're creating, there are more people that are joining, and not just joining, but people who are being active. But there is no guarantee that whether you have, 10 people, 50 people, or 100 people or more, that everybody's going to be active. So my take on this is that, as coming back to what I was sharing today, uh, as being the theme of today's pod, which is fail, right? It's okay to fail, and you know, I'm not saying you have to wish it upon yourself, but it's okay to fail. Welcome moments when you fail, because sooner or later it is the law of averages, which means if you failed long enough and you do not consider yourself to be a failure, sooner or later, if it's okay, 60% of the time I'm failing, that means that 40% is coming, and that 40% will come like a wave, right? Because that's just how it works. Now, does that mean for the rest of your life it'll be you win, win, win? Who knows, right? And again, remember, wins are very, very subjective. So whether it is in the context of subscribers or followers or comments, or in the context of revenue, it's all extremely subjective. As long as, like I said before, and I'll say it again, as long as you zoom out and you build that habit of zooming out from time to time, so that you can see, okay, how in how many more ways can I help people? In how many more ways can I make this community less about me and more about the community? Because when you're doing that, then it's like the community is truly a community, and it takes on a life of its own. And that's when the community is there. When I say that, as in the members are there to support each other. And of course, you are there as someone who is sort of like the guiding light. But when it's no longer about you, your ego, and it's my community, and it's what I say that goes. But if you truly want to build a community, then you're talking about a community that will grow organically. So a couple of things too, as I said, these are philosophies, these are things to think about. But again, don't take my word for it. Test and see what truly works for you, how you want to do this. And remember, like I said, in this work that we're doing, it is totally okay. It's totally normal to fail. And if you're failing, you're probably doing something right, because you're probably doing all the things that are not of use to your community. And so the more you're willing to kind of look at it, the more you're willing to study it and say, okay, if I'm doing this and it's not working, what can I do that is different from this so that that will be more of your success. So wishing you all the very best on your journey. And as someone who's been on it now for a while, I just want to say one thing, which is remember to live with purpose. And I look forward to seeing you in more and more of these pods. And as always, and I say this, I've said this, I don't know, definitely more than 100 times, and I'll say it again, that, in spite of all of this, if there's any way in which I can help you, please definitely reach out. Whether it is just listening to this as advice and you're saying, okay, I know somebody who I can talk to who can be my accountability partner, who can hold me accountable to that. Or if you feel, okay, this is not something I can talk to other people about, then please reach out and let me know. Whether it is, in my DMs, whether it is, be part of the community. And there are different communities. I have a Telegram group. The link is there in the comment box below. And of course, now I'm at a point where I have a growing community. There is the free community, there's also the paid community. So whichever one works for you, definitely reach out and join. And remember, I'm in this for the long haul, meaning the the rapper may change, but the rap is the same. Okay, that was a joke. But what I'm saying is that I continue to do this. We may have changed names once or twice over the last couple of years, but I'm still here. I'm still doing this as I've been doing it before. And my intention is to continue to help you, to serve you in whatever way possible that will be in your benefit and for your benefit. So I look forward to seeing you in the next pod. And of course, as always, I will catch you very, very soon. God bless and have a wonderful, wonderful day.